Now, Nambano Ombara, what is the best way to proceed now? Because there is now debate. Government is saying no, the development cannot proceed. You as a chief and the proclaimed owner of the land says the land is mine and what happens here comes from me. Nambano, how do we move on from here? Are you open to conversations with government to meet each other halfway to reach some consensus, or what must happen?
Nambano mapura masha poruvedendu nai oromende maicha kako ondoro pakaitungwa o komundawe ovemwini moshavi mohenene ruvede shumaruya movango kuhama peno horomende amuhungire. Ove komundawe moshavi oromende ashakako komundawe moshavi
mija bajanga petungwe ki hiona ina.
From his side, he said that city has to be built.
It has to be built.
Yeah.
But now, are you open, Chief, to face-to-face conversations with officials of the state for you really to agree? Because I think the company is now finding itself in a very difficult position, because you don't want to put your investment, your money into something, and a few days later, government comes with bulldozers. I'm just thinking out loud. And with bulldozers and break down these things. So for Kaoko Fria to continue with that plan, it is ideal that both sides reach consensus first. Or are you open to that kind of conversation to reach that agreement with government?
Kuma o ombarayo pe no horomende. Sio horomende maivango kuhungira pe na ove. Mohenene o kuhama pe no horomende muhungire. Mena o kampaninji erivada po yakatungo vina oromende mai hene no kuyano viterekera aiteo vinambio. So shimapurire masha pena oruve dendui mohene no kuthoro kuhaka ina peno horomende shimavea kuove veungire pena ove pena oruve de.
Ami kuenda ka horomende po horomende
kuya kuove.
O horomende kia kwa mienene. Mena goja o kinojiwa o ndikimwa mulidu. O goja mubanga yungina abanga.
Yeah.
Ovo kwenda ko horomende kuna kwenda.
Mi kwenda ka horomende. Mika ningira ka horomende.
What he explained, the government is the one who must come to him. Him, he won't go to the government. The government is the one who must come to him.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. There are also talks that the late President Sam Nujoma was also in support of the development around that area. I don't know whether it was for this specific company or maybe a different project, but there seems to be a general agreement that we need a new port city. Have you ever had any talk with President Nujoma or his representatives about that issue? Or where does the Nujoma name fit into this conversation?
Yeah. Kuma papa omunene nguata Nujoma. Nujoma avanga ehindori tungwe. Penoruve dendui wa hakaina pena epo wadhuva kucha Nujoma mavanga nei.
Baduviri.
He say he hate about it.
Okay.
That the founding president want to build.
And that you within Rugimi and Jange.
He say even the time which he have given this new company the right to build the city, founding father was alive.
Okay.
We've pointed out the deficiency in terms of procurement.
Indeed so.
And we've pointed out the deficiency in terms of the law. But the service providers are not innocent. I mean, there are documented cases of service providers who are blatantly misusing employees, underpaying employees, and just taking whatever profit and even not delivering on what they promise. And yet, we don't see any exposing, any names, we don't see any consequences. The industry protects this. So it seems that there's nobody really in terms of these three entities that have clean hands.
You see, Ogato, you have a point. Look, in every setup, there can always be a black sheep.
Yeah.
There is one guy who is willing to comply, but the governing policies or legal instruments are not allowing him to comply. And there is one guy who's taking advantage of the system, and he's not compliant at all. He's greedy.
Yeah.
But that's not the point.
Yeah.
The law still makes a provision for those to be actually be punished in terms of the law. The employees can go to the labor inspector, and non-compliance can be issued. Okay?
And what are the consequences?
The consequence of that these guys can be banned from bidding.
But then I just go and register my company under a different name.
Fine. That we cannot actually do anything at this moment until maybe we come up with a law that actually have a database and say, look, this person for the next few days is banned from applying for a company of this nature, same service. But again, where do you now draw the line and say, because remember, a company has a legal personality.
Yes.
So are you banning the company or are you banning the natural person?
You're banning the company.
Fine. Then a natural person will go open another company because what you ban is the company.
Yes.
So that's where the law becomes a bit complex.
Yes. Yes.
But what we're talking about here is this. We, the custodians of the enforcement of the law, or actually the upholding of the law, must do what is right, so that we don't give these guys, the leeway to actually continue violating the law. So we must make proper provisions. Then they can break the law, we'll get back to them. But now if we are breaking the law, how do we go back to them and say they are breaking the law? Because we are also not clean. We are failing to actually come up with proper statutory provision that are actually, giving proper, platforms for the compliance of the law.
Yes.
For example, this is so trait in law that a person cannot work in a condition where he's not given leave.
Yes.
A person cannot work in a condition where he's not given, not even lunch interval.
Yes.
Because the procurement agencies say, and they charge them per hours, by the way.
Yes.
So it means if this guy goes on lunch, this hour is not rated. He won't get paid for that hour. But again, if they find, for example, if maybe they find this guy eating in his office, in the garden room, they would have asked, why are you eating on site? But where can he eat? Simply because the procurement method is not proper.
Yes.
That is where we need to start. That's where we need to restructure, and that we must go back to the drawing board. Let's leave everything on the ground. Let's come back to the office, have engagement with maybe the procurement agencies, and really have them understand the operation of security. I had an engagement with with a person one day from one of the procurement agencies. I would say, no, the thing is, if you remove this guy goes on leave, the reason why the service provider is paying for two people is because when this one goes on leave, he's getting paid. Because the law says paid annual leave.
Yes.
And the one they are bringing to work on his behalf, he can't work for free.
Yes.
And you can't say you are paying him the other guy's money because the other guy's also getting paid.
Yes.
So now the service provider is paying for two people.
Yes.
And then she asked, but why do you have to hire somebody else when that one goes on leave? And I said, it's because of the nature of the work.
Yes.
First, it's security.
Yes.
It means it's 24 hours there.
Yes.
When you remove one, you bring the other. Unlike your office, you can lock your office and go for lunch. And when people call you, say, I'm on lunch, I'll reconvene after 2. But then they don't have that luxury.
Yes.
They must be there all the time. But how do we navigate these if the provisions are not allowing them to actually do these?
Yes.
So it's now left in the hands of the service provider and the employee to fight each other.
Yes.
And they're both innocent. It's like the grass suffering when the two elephants are fighting, because the issue is between the procurement models and the labor law.
And the labor law.
There's a huge gap here.
Yes.
This is not allowing this to comply. And when we're talking about the labor law, Ghetto, we're not only talking about wage orders. We are talking about the entirety of the labor law. Labor law has got so many sections, so many entitlements, of which these security guards have the same right in terms of the Labor Act as everybody in the office. There is no exclusion. There is no, you are a security guard, you don't have the same right.
Samuel, our time is limited, so I just want you to leave us with your, how you would advise us to proceed in order to address the situation. What do you think needs to happen?
Okay, thank you so much. I think what I think needs to happen is the Ministry of Justice and Labor Relations must go back to the drawing board. And there must be an order directed to the procurement agencies that bidding document should make a provision for these entitlements.
Okay.
Any bidding document that only comes asking for the exact number of employees equivalent to the exact number of sites, that bidding document cannot be in compliance with the order.
I see.
Any bidding document that comes without the provision of leave payout, Sunday payout, night shift payout, cannot be compliant with the wage order.
I see.
Same as the wage order for hourly rate.
Okay.
So they must be included, all of it. One directed to the companies for the wage order, to the service provider, and one directed to the procurement agencies, in order for the procurement agencies to actually make these guys compliant. Because these guys are unable to comply, and it's not because they don't want, it's because, look, you cannot pay from an empty cup. You are literally beating an innocent guy.
Okay. No, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Okido.
We must not. You see, we must never for 1 minute think we are not nationalist as people. What the only fear here is people can take businesses in, and these things, these reservations. Even if you go in other areas, people have the same problem with their traditional authorities selling land to other people, and those are not just ordinary people. These are business people who are financially resourced, and because they are financially resourced, they have the ability to capture and they have the ability to set up shops. Sometimes these shops are to the detriment of that community, because you are now coming to sell alcohol. The next moment you render these people useless, and everybody is you have cash loans. People are selling their goats and cattle at you, and then they become useless. You need to protect that. Some communities are weaker in terms of self-sustenance than others. Sometimes you'll find marginalized communities, and you do that to them, it's easy to capture them. It happens even in the San communities. You'll find people calling me, can you please come to this community and help us? The chief's daughter is selling all the land to the people from the north. Then you ask yourself, why is it that everywhere is just Vambus are coming to buy land? And it makes you seem tribal when you speak about these things, but it's the reality. There's a need to protect also those communities by saying that, no, we need to curb the number of businesses we allow into this, especially when communities are sort of marginalized, or there's that possibility of them being there, and you'll avoid what happened in Ochinene, because it's people, when you allow people like this in traditional spaces, you'll get that. You can get people being tribal in urban areas, or how can you not expect that to happen in a traditional space? It will happen.
So how do we make sure that while living by the principle that you are advocating for, to say really that traditional areas must be predominantly be inhabited by the members of that community proper? How do we make sure that that reality is there, but without compromising our oneness as a people? Because we also don't want exclusive tribal cocoons. People are just, Vambus only live on their own, Damaras live on their own, Hereros on their own. Somehow there must be elements of others also living with us. How do we make sure that we do not compromise that?
Yeah, that's why you see, that's in urban areas we live perfectly well. That is, it's fine. There's this notion from when the Komani have a big problem, because Windhoek as a capital city finds itself in our jurisdiction. Some people will argue and say, so Chinese is also a Komani. If I'm born in Oshakati, or I go to Oshakati, our child is born to two Damara people in Oshakati, that person will never be from that traditional community. There is no way like that. Traditional community members are explained in Section 1 of the Traditional Authority Act, Section 1A and B, where it says who is a traditional community member. You must also abide to those rules. You know, when I was in Ondangwa last week, there behind Kwashamba Mall, I was saying, can I not be taken to the chief's place because he has moved from the old chief? They said, no, you don't just go there. You must go through John Walenga, what. I said, so but you people, when you come to Windhoek, it's easy for you to go to our people. So it must be like that. I appreciate that. Because if we don't protect this, that is our wealth. If we don't protect these things, it becomes a problem. Because I was seeing a video on social media recently where a Caucasian guy was talking about how Africans are not having their own way of doing things. Everything is what. Then I was saying, that guy is right. You see, we must protect our being, at the same time balancing that thing of oneness. That oneness does not necessarily mean it must be at the expense of traditional ways of living. We can do that. It's possible. The land is there for this group of people. Let them live there. When there is that land, and if you want to, because the Traditional Authority Act does not limit you from becoming a Komani. If you marry in and you say, I'll abide by these people, you become a Komani, or I become an Andonga person. But then I cannot go to Komani Traditional Community Festival while there is Andonga, because I've now neutralized as them. It's there. But people abuse that and say, one Namibia, one nation, I can also be a Komani. But then at the same time, that's just the selfishness that is there. So I think the oneness can be there if Namibians just start realizing that as much as we need to protect, we must also become less selfish and let everybody just enjoy what is there and protect their traditional interest.
Yeah. So thank you for your time, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, indeed, colonization is, had it not happened, our languages would have been flourishing by now. We would have coined new words, new terms. Yeah, maybe we would even have exported them at a higher level. Colonialism has done a bad job in terms of our language and cultures. It has altered how we look at ourselves in our languages. In fact, research was done by a German institution, German organization a few years ago, and they found that when an African speak, they use 40% words that are from colonial languages, depending. So, but our languages are not just languages. There is spiritual connection there. Yeah, they connect us to the cosmos. Yeah, they connect us to the higher vibration that we are supposed, as a nation, we are supposed to vibrate very high. But since now colonialism came and we are told our languages are inferior, and we believe that. And it more said, when I think about the leadership, a lot of leaders were in Europe. They were sent there. Yeah, so when they came with that mentality that your African culture is bad, it's backward, your mother tongue is backward, and they kind of lost their originality or their authenticity as an African, and they extended that through policies and laws to us as the people. So yeah, this is something that was predetermined, pre-planned, and pre-arranged early. Yes.
Your movement talks about Africanizing things like our national anthem. I know, for example, that in South Africa, Nkosi Sikelel has Zulu. It has a number of local languages there. There's a bit of English, there's a bit of Afrikaans, and I don't remember whether it's Zulu or Xhosa, one of the two. Probably Zulu, but practically, how would it work? Because Land of the Brave is not a long song to accommodate all the languages. Is it just to weave in some verses? Because Namibians are going to say, but why your language? Why your language and not mine? That should be included in there. How are we going to navigate that difficult space?
That's an easy thing to do, Trevo. When you listen to our national anthem, the only thing that reminds me that is my national anthem as a Namibian, as an African, is because there's a name Namibia, there's that word in Namibia. But otherwise, there's no heritage. It lacks heritage. It lacks culture. It lacks identity. It's all about Europe. The words are entirely rendered in European language. They read them, the song itself, it's almost like listening to European traditional music, classical music, or choirs like the Stuttgart Tabernacle Choir. So what we can do is that the first verse, for example, can be Inoshakwanya. The words will remain the same, they will not be changed, but only translated to our mother languages. The second verse may be Oshindonga, Ochiherer, Kwaikokobab, Silozi, and so on. And we get those languages in. And then, even us as African people, when we sing Namibia, our motherland, indeed, I can feel myself, my soul can feel that. I can feel myself in this national anthem. Right now, it's so much European. I think South Africa has local languages in their national anthem, and a bit of English and Afrikaans.
No, that is true. You see, the practicality here is you have made it even more difficult now. I thought you would just say one line might be Inoshwambo. Not Kwanyamandonga, Kwambi, Inoshwambo. And then you move to Kwekwekobab, which is, of course, you have the Namas and the Damaras who speak that language. I suppose it's the same language. But even within Kavango, we then have Rukwangali, Sambiu, and all these languages. So I thought you would say, okay, Shwambo line, a Kavango line, irrespective of the exact dialect. But you seem to suggest that we must put it in dialect, and that is going to be, I don't know, the practicalities.
No, I think what you are saying is just what I also is saying, that when I say Oshwambo, because like Oshwambo has two main languages. But what I say, the first verse, for example, Namibia, land of the brave, freedom fight, that line should be in one of our local language. And the second line, and the second, and the third, and so on, that all languages are included, especially the major languages. It's what you are saying is just saying that, what I'm saying, that from Kavango, from Zambezi, from the north, from Vaherero people, we translate.
Because if you say there's a passage in Oshwambo, we could agree that for practical reasons that would be better. But if you say now there must be Mbalantu, Mbaja, Kwaluthi, and all that, that is where the problem is. And we are also likely to say, because I know Namibians very well, they say, okay, let's have a passage in Oshwambo. Then they say, okay, but Oshimbaja flows better in this one, so let's just go with Mbaja.
Mbaja rhythm.
Then people say, no, but why Mbaja and not Kolonga this? That is where the challenge is going to be. But overall, I don't want to drag you. I understand the overall picture and demand that you are making. Our national anthem ought to have our identity as an African and local identity, a proper one. You are also calling for the government to establish an indigenous language board. What do you have in mind here?
In some countries, whether in Britain, South Africa, in China, they have boards that are established or set up just to help in the development of their languages and to help to document new words that are coming in. In Namibia, it's zero. So one of the reasons why our languages are dying is because government has not thought of establishing an indigenous language board or a native language council, whatever you name it. For as far as they are there to promote our language, give funds to those who are promoting indigenous languages, come up with emission programs for young people to be immersed in our languages. And that's how a nation keeps language. No, in China, each year to their languages, China has two main languages, the Cantonese and the Mandarin. They add more than 3,000 new words. Even if the word is from in German, they will make sure, how do we translate this word in our mother tongue? And that's how a language develops, and that's how a language grows. And we should also use use technology to invest in our mother tongues. But without government support, these things, they are just a mere dream. So government must come in the Ministry of the Department of Culture. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother, for coming.
Thank you, Tate Toivo.
Yeah.
Yeah.